Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Torment. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today here in the Bloom. And we're trying to get ourselves to Ascension, I believe, because we're trying to do a favor to Drakagen so he can take us to the Memovita, who in turn will be able to take us to the first cast-off, and basically this is all a big mess because they don't let me talk to the first cast-off because apparently she is alive. She's alive somewhere. And we're going around the Bloom and touching all the nasty stuff, including the blisters over there. That's such a disgusting place, oh my god. Let's go over here. This looks a little bit less disgusting. I like the pink color of it. This tentacled maw appears to be dead. Its flesh is being reabsorbed into the Bloom. Oh, it's a dead maw. That's an interesting thing. What is that? The sign reads, "This way to Little Niliesh," in a difficult to understand scroll. Okay, so I guess we're not going to Little Niliesh. Let's see what this guy has to say. These three humanoids wear intricately carved armor that makes them look like undersea dwellers of legend. You cannot recall having seen the material from which they are shaped either. Though the suits are bulky, their wearers move with a strange and fluid grace. You might have mistaken them for monsters, but their leader is unhelmed and appears human. She has close-cropped hair, an angular face, and her jaw is clenched, as if she were subconsciously chewing on a problem. At your approach, she gives you an irritated glance. You address the Gremadar Areki. Speak what you need, or be gone.
Making a note.
Then she reconsiders her words. Ordinarily, hospitality is ours. Forgive this one. The maw to our anchorage has closed, and she indicates the hideous tentacled mouth that lies dead in the center of the platform. Another way we must find, she says. Have you word of open maws that lead to our station? And she lowers her voice. Beseech you, even. Trapped here with the supplies we purchased for our compatriots. This world is getting to me, she thinks, and the frustration of speaking in a foreign tongue. It's interesting that she doesn't speak in a weird manner like she does over here when she thinks. Can I read her thoughts in, like, is it just actual thoughts, or is it just vocalization or mental vocalization? Can you say that? Mental vocalizations of words? Because when you think, you don't need to think in, you know, you don't. I mean, it depends on what you make your fantasy world to have telepathy or whatever, thought reading, because you know there are unspoken thoughts in the mind. But anyway, if you want me to help, you'll need to answer some questions, I guess. Her jaw unclenches, but by the smallest fraction. Naturally, this one will seek to provide informative truth. Okay, so how did you come to be trapped here? Left the anchorage where our ancestors have served for left the anchorage where our ancestors have served for centuries. Sought resupply as we have so many times before. Upon return, the way was closed. Again, she indicates the dead maw at her feet. Worried now that comrades may suffer without us. Or worse, she thinks. What if our ship returns while we are absent? No, that's too terrible a thought. Okay, yeah, that's definitely second time around. It's definitely what I was saying before. We're reading her thoughts, not the vocalization of her. Yeah, makes sense. So, what about your anchorage? All the refuge we have ever known. We await the ship that will end our mission and take us home. Captain Nyanur commands us. If you find the maw and speak to her, perhaps she can tell you more. In a way, she thinks, I suppose the anchorage is our home. After all, we have never known another. So where should I go look for maws? This one hoped you would know. We are strangers here. Buying supplies is all we know, not hunting maws. And she looks down at the dead maw on the platform. Here was the maw that led to our anchorage. Here it had been for many years. Yet, on our return, dead. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Farewell. Farewell, she says. Not in your tongue good we speak. Areki, she speak like you. Nah, well, kind of. This guy doesn't. Yeah, Tishi volam segul. Oh, I want to read the other one. Oh, Edkla Areki. Edkla Areki? Yeah, he's talking to letting me know that I need to talk to Areki over there. Tishi volam segul. Okay, sure. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing all those words, but we do have a place. Oh, we have a place to go. Indeed, we have this thing over here. This beautiful, beautiful thing that I believe I have included in the thumbnail in a previous episode, and it's the loading screen for this area that we're in right now. And it looks quite interesting. It looks a mixture of maws and tongs and I don't know what that bit over there is, but it doesn't look very nice. This one looks a little bit better. It is beautiful because, I mean, from an artistic perspective, I would say, because of this. And I wonder what it is. It kind of looks like somebody... You there! We need your help! Yeah, you're gonna wait. Inkpot, it's his name. Let's see, this guy. The walls of this... Oh, it's a dwelling. The walls of this dwelling are covered in papers with various threats and slurs written on them. Oh, I suppose it's not... It's the threats written by the people outside, not the ones inside. The walls of this dwelling... Yeah, it is. It's interesting, isn't it? Because usually, like... Here in Portugal, I'm sure... well, actually, that's probably a worldwide thing. But here in Portugal, there are some houses that have, like, little poems written by their doors, or, like, big texts that, you know, proclaiming some sort of philosophy or some affiliation, maybe even with a certain, I don't know, religion or whatever group in people's houses, or maybe they're gonna, you know, put a flag for their favorite club, or, you know, whatever, sports club, and that's kind of exactly the same thing. But when it's about slurs, it's the opposite. It's like they put stuff in your house, just like, you know, you're a bastard or whatever, and then it's the opposite. It's not by the person inside. So the person inside can never insult the people outside with this sort of stuff, like, you piece of crap, you're not gonna put that on your wall. Because well, that probably says a lot about you as well, if you do, or if you have that need. Anyway, Inkpot, what is your name? Or what is not username? What do you want? This man is tall and gawkily thin. Oh yeah, gawkily thin. His wiry hair looks like an explosion of metal springs atop his head. He regards you with bright, feverish eyes that seem too large for their sockets, and smiles. Even as he motions you closer, the man is scribbling words on a scrap of paper. He has fastened some sort of harness around his body. It holds a tiny writing tablet and inkwell, so he can continue to write as he moves about. Dozens of scroll-covered notes are stuck to his leathery robes. There is the one who will aid the devourer, he thinks. I think this is probably the maw, or a maw. Is this a maw? I've heard rumors of one fitting your description, he says. One who seeks justice. Help us, brother, he intones in a wet and breathy voice. We are extremities of the great devourer, and we beseech your aid to right a great wrong. I think I understand what you mean by. I think I met one of these guys before. What sort of wrong are you talking about? A terrible torment, he whispers, visited upon the bloom, our god. It is the work of Yoku, the measurer and meddler, who dwells in that nodule of flesh. Oh, wait a minute, in this one, okay. There was a nodule of flesh that we messed with before, and we freed that guy. He raises his pen towards the house that sits on the other side of the platform, red and stinking and inflamed. Why'd you make bridges out of wood, but not houses? He's living in a wound, effectively. Even if it wasn't inflamed, yeah. Yoku, apparently it's his name, not Loksu. Did I say Loksu? Yeah, I did. Yoku desires to understand the bloom, to qualify its impulses. This causes pain to our god. His eyes bulge even wider, and it occurs to you that you haven't once seen him blink. The evidence is clear for all to see, he says, in the raw and swollen flesh of Yoku's house. We have warned Yoku to stop his pokings and proddings and measurings, but he will not listen. What methods are left to us? He lets the question hang in the air, an unspoken threat. Perhaps you can help him to change his mind? I can try and work out some compromise, I guess, at least. At the word compromise, his mouth twitches. Try, if you like, but blasphemers are loath to compromise. They are steeped in sin. Actually, it's the opposite. That twitch right there, it's the opposite. Blasphemers are the ones that are compromising. That's why they are blasphemers. Unless they are not blasphemers, in which case they are just called blasphemers by people who care about stuff like sin. It's people that care about this stuff that usually doesn't compromise, because otherwise it's not. Because when you see the world black and white, there's no compromise. There's either white, you know, a half-rotten apple is still a rotten apple. That sort of perspective and all that sort of stuff. Oh, he gives me a thing, a piece of junk. Scripture. Oh, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Scriptures of the Great Devourer. This handful of crumpled papers is covered with messy scroll. They purport to be part of the canon or of the Bloom cult, but they seem little more than the incoherent ramblings of their author, a cultist named Inkpot. Most of the pages are covered with grimy fingerprints, and thick, dried blotches of yellow phlegm. Anyway, he might know his stuff. I can't judge a book by his cover in this game, or anywhere really, but in this game in particular. His face brightens, and he pulls a handful of scribbled papers from a pocket and shoves them into your hand. Scriptures of the great devourer to inspire your thoughts and guide your words. Another tortured smile cuts across his face. From the pen of Inkbot. Who is me? Okay, I'm gonna try, I probably can't use this thing. I kinda wanted to use that thing, but what are all these papers on your robes? Scriptures of the great devourer, it says. They are ever-changing, in imitation of the bloom. You see? I hope that it's not really what you mean by imitation, because this is imitation doesn't mean mimicking, or it doesn't exactly mean mimicking. It means like faking. It's an imitation, right? It's not a copy. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just my preconceived notions of what that word means. Anyway, he tears one of the scribbled papers from his robe, crumples it up, and tosses it over the side of the platform. Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like. Okay, so yeah, it probably is imitation. He's just making up things as he goes. Most likely. He takes a scrawled paper from the little writing desk that is strapped to his body. Oh, that's awesome. Spits a wad of yellow phlegm onto its back and sticks it to the robe. That's why it's all filled with crap over there, because that's glue. Now, these words are part of the canon, he says. What are those papers again? The holy canon of your faith? Only a part, he says. Everything written by an extremity is part of the scriptures, until the writing is lost or destroyed. No one can know all the writings, just as no one can know every part of the ever-changing bloom. Maybe not even the bloom, because I think it's many voices or something. I think it's a consciousness or something, this thing. I'm not really sure. Can you tell me about your beliefs? I will not speak of beliefs, he frowns, but I will tell you what is true. Well, isn't that the same exact thing? That's the thing. That's the thing. Anyway, first, that the bloom is a god, the only true god, and all that takes place within its body is solid and real. That which exists outside the bloom is an illusion, a cruel trick, a falsehood. Second, this actually would make sense, but it would imply, if what he says is true, which, I mean, it would make sense, but it would change the world completely. But it would imply that, you know, for that to be the case, the bloom would need to be responsible for the illusion, in which case it would be a cruel trick or a falsehood that couldn't be either. It would be either on purpose by the bloom, or couldn't be contained by the bloom, so it would have somebody else do that. But it would have the bloom would have to be able to do something with that. Second, he intones, that our goal is to become one with the bloom, to transform ourselves into living embodiments of its will, and one day to be called to its heart. Don't you just need to throw yourself into a maw? Can I say that? Yeah, what do you mean be called to the bloom's heart? What does that mean? His eyes glisten. When it wants us, the bloom will open a maw at our feet, or reveal a tunnel where one hadn't been before. The passage will close behind us, and we will never be seen again by human eyes, but we'll follow its turnings to the heart, and be one with the devourer at last, and pray to no one ever again. Okay. So what do you think of the Memovita? Probably doesn't like her too much. When her will was one with the blooms, we revered her. But no more, he frowns. She is no Memovita, not anymore. Not to us. Another will be found, in time. Her time is done, he thinks. Soon the bloom will take her as well. Well, if only the bloom exists, then I suppose really it needs to be the bloom that takes her, nothing else. Otherwise she might just leave, which I would probably advise her to do. If I am ever to meet her, I probably will, or try to anyway. You think the ninth world is an illusion? I know it is. The people of that world try to tell you that life is not pain. They weave illusions and call them laws to protect the weak and the poor and the ugly, the malformed. But look closer, and you'll see that they lie. He spits a gob of yellow phlegm off the side of the platform. Only here in the bloom is the horror of life revealed without pretense. Becoming one with the bloom is our only hope of salvation. Yeah, he's not really saying much, is he? It's not really saying anything, but that makes sense. Just on the side note, I would like to compare these guys with, well, I would need to replay the game for that, or look at the previous videos. Compare this guy with the what's the cult of the changing god? Was what's the name of those guys? Because they have a more traditional. Well, when I say traditional, they have a more. They're closer to our modern perception of science than, of course, these guys are. These guys are quite clearly just a religion or a religious sect. Maybe a sect is not the word. Where a religion, the religion of the Bloom, I guess. But wait a minute. Does he have a name? Do they have a name? No, they're just, the Devourer, the Great Devourer, Scriptures of the Great Devourer, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so they probably don't even call themselves anything, because, if you're the one true thing, you don't even call yourself a sect or anything. You just, you know stuff. And of course, knowing is, if you know something, it's dogma. It's called dogma. That means, basically, that's what we modernly accept as being beliefs, religious beliefs, that is, because if you're following, that's the thing I would like to compare it with. The other one is with a Cult of the Changing God, whatever that's called. It's not the Cult of the Changing God. I think it's called something else. The Order of Truth. That's the one. Okay. Yeah. Well, I would like to. It's interesting that they also call it the Order of Truth. But I really would like to see if they actually have an opposite, or at least a contrasting perspective to truth from these guys, because that would make some sense if they were. It's because they are a little bit closer to the scientific methods of today. Even to the point where they kind of mimic the problems of today's scientific communities. But the thing is, the problems, with monies and all that sort of stuff. But I would like to know if they have, like, we don't know anything. We just keep searching, because that's the point. It's just, you never know. You just keep questioning, you keep searching, that's the whole point. But of course he knows, so he knows. Sorry for that rant. I do that a lot, don't I? Oh boy. Anyway, so I guess if you endured all of my rants, you probably don't have a problem with this one. Thank you very much for listening. How do you plan to become one with the Bloom? Are you just gonna be eaten? We clothe ourselves in its flesh, he says. Oh, so these are the guys that buy all the stuff from that guy up north. Yeah, feast on its bile and viscera. Ugh, sure, whatever. If we are lucky enough to hear its voice, we empty our minds and let it govern our actions and our thoughts. His long misshapen fingers clench and unclench. The Devourers will only only call us to its heart when its will is one with ours. One day I will hear the Bloom's voice clearly, not these vague whispers. I must not doubt. Oh, the whispers. Ah, okay, so he's actually hearing the whispers already. But if he thinks, or if he knows, there is a actual voice? I mean, you'd think that it had a voice, but I believe the Bloom is, from what we've been shown, I think the Bloom is just more of a mess of many voices, or a consciousness or something, a common consciousness or something. So that's why it's whispers, but I don't know. But of course, I must not doubt, because, if you question, that's not what he says here. But yeah, so yeah, let's talk about something else. I'll try to fix that thing over there. So is it safe to drink water from that pool over there? Better than safe, he says. Those fluids are the holy secretions of the Great Devourer. To drink them is to put your mind in communion with the Bloom. He leans closer to you, and your eyes are drawn to the profusion of festering sores in his mouth. You can listen to its voice and know what it wants, for a time at least. Are you sure it's safe? Of course. Drink the juices of the Bloom, and your mind will be opened to its thoughts and desires. Yeah, I did, but that's because I can't die. I suppose that's really the reason why I drank that. I'll drink everything in this game, yeah, because I can't die. So let's go on in and see if I can fix this guy, or fix this situation, or fix those guys outside. I have no idea. This looks like an interesting place, though. It's got a machine. Oh, he or she. She, whatever. They're doing things. We got a construct over there. Another one of these. These tanks contain floating blobs of plant or algal matter. Shouldn't be algaeal? Because it's algae, so anyway. They could serve as a basic but unpleasant food source. Really? Why? What? They could serve... I guess it's plants. Sure. It would be worse if we were fish. On the shelves, you see a few discarded notes and an old books. A rack of test tubes sits alone and forgotten, overgrown with bloom flesh. This bucket is filled with quivering chunks of bloom flesh and organelles. I think I should know what organelles are. I know the word, but I don't know what it means. Text and symbols flash across this screen, all of it meaningless to you. Oh, this is a computer. It's a different computer, though. It doesn't shine as brightly as the other ones. Oh, I like that. What about this thing? Inside, it looks like a... Doesn't it look like the thing that we're trying to repair? Inside this device is a size... Well, maybe not trying to repair it anymore, but we'll see. Inside this device is a sizable lump of bloom flesh. It lies upon a comfortable-looking cushion and appears to be asleep. Really? The top of this machine is covered in glass lenses of varying shapes. It appears to be some kind of monitoring device. This construct is equipped with innumerable monitoring devices. Lines swoop and whirl across this leathery sheet, depicting what appears to be a map. Oh, it's one of these things, like the living maps in the other dude. Text and symbols flash across this screen, all of it meaningless to you. And that same thing over there. I'm not going to mess around with the construct right now. I'm just going to go ahead and talk to Yoku over here. He's one of the... I think... Well, we'll see what the name is of that guy. The Varielan, that's the one. This Varielan looks much like others of its kind. Violet red skin, yellow eyes, a tall crest atop its head. This one appears to have chosen a male form for now. He appears, wears thin lenses over his eyes, and some strange device encircles his head, with weighted attachments dangling at the end of long straps. His calloused, pointed fingertips are strained, or stained, and his garments are unkempt and in disarray. What do you mean a male form? Does he have his schlong hanging out? What do you mean a male form? Because, I mean, you can't really tell, can you? I mean, it could be a lady. It's just, is it just the boobs? Is it really just all that it is? Or if you're a lady and don't have boobs, you're a man. That's that. Okay, well, the game has decided. He looks, or I've decided, actually. He looks impatiently at you as you interrupt his work, his eyes snapping between you and the door. His crest inflates with irritation. The interruptions continue. What would you have of Lokzu? Or Yoku, sorry, I misread my name every once in a while. Why do you keep looking at the door? Are you afraid of the guys outside? He sighs. Apologies from me. The noise and constant interruption from those outside are inconducive to proper behavior. They have been escalating their discussions towards violence. The experiments conducted within this chamber are perhaps unlikely to gain the favor of the bloom. Indeed, the great beast has evinced, I suppose, some displeasure. Its pathetic worshippers who gather here to mock have begun seeking ways to stop me, an effort to appease their deity. He gives you a hopeful look. I would reward anyone who can drive them off. It only shows I am doing something worthy, he thinks. True knowledge risks danger. He shrugs, but knowledge has always had its detractors. They will do what they must. As long as my work lives on, I care not. He turns his head from side to side, seeing you with both his eyes. What would you have of me? Well, I think the bloom doesn't really... the thing is, if the bloom cares about him, it's not gonna punish the other people, because this guy's doing bad stuff. It might punish me, but I have a leg in with the bloom. It should be okay. Let's have a chat with him. I found this device in a bloom cyst. It was really disgusting, but it seems to bear your mark. His eyes bulge and his flat voice gains a tiny bit of modulation. The scalpel! Where did you find this? This was among the first devices I created to test the bloom. A trans-dimensional blade that could cut its flesh cleanly and preserve its properties for study. Yet a thief removed it from my care. An abacus that entered my dwelling and absconded.
I'll remember that.
A power source for the blade is lacking, he says. Yeah, it is. Transdimensionality is required. No more such sources are to hand here. But perhaps the crashed katana in Little Niliash might contain such a source. Oh, so that's where we came from. Oh, good. So we are going in there. I was looking for images before about the katana, and I found references online to interior katana, or katana interior, so yeah. I knew we were going there. Should you find one, bring it to this place, and I may be able to improve on my earlier designs. Okay, so he's giving me quests, proper quests that don't involve me cutting other people or trying to stop what they're doing for no reason. That's good. So what sort of work do you do here? Look, smell, taste, measure, understand? Though his voice is flat, you can see the pleasure in his face. Apprehension is the key to knowledge. The bloom is a creature unlike any other, yet who has taken the time to study its nature? The first is Yoku, he says. The work done here will illuminate the bloom for those who follow. For decades have I been here. Physical structure, biological needs, behavior, mental construction, known history of the beast, history of its inhabitants. All these things have I gathered. Where does it originate? I believe a twin star holds the power. A place of howling winds and immense gravity. Fear tells me that this creature is not yet mature, that years will see its size increase. A twin star holds immense gravity? Is it because it's big or howling winds? Oh, it's a quasar? Could it be a quasar? I'm not really sure what a quasar is, but it's very pretty, whatever it is. Or at least the depictions of it is, because, you know, we can't really see things normally. So to what purpose? The destruction, he thinks. Consumption, ascension. I fear I will never know. Yeah, I don't think you will, because this thing is probably way longer lived than both of us. I mean, if it's not mature. It's been here for a long while. Well, a few centuries, I guess. Anyway. Reality bends around the bloom, he says. Its ways twist and turn, but even where stability is assumed, the bloom's presence resists understanding. It resists mapping. This is the importance of my work, to make secrets known so that all may benefit. Except the bloom. I think the bloom here might be just consciously, or, you know, whatever it is, but consciously denying him that knowledge. Basically, the bloom doesn't want to be known in a conscious way, not just, you know, like a inevitability of fate or something like that. But anyway, we're out of time for the day, so I will say farewell to you right now. Indeed, he says, and I will say farewell to you as well, delicious viewer. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Torment, Tides of Numenera. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video, but above all, thank you again. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye. Just looking at that. It's not gonna eat it. Just gonna look at it. It's just looking. Yeah.